Madam Chair, you have 3 aye votes, one abstention. The motion does move.
The Michigan Board of State Canvassers certifying the state that narrowly voted for President Trump 4 years ago, now for President-elect Joe Biden, one of 2 Republican board members voting to certify. Making it official, the General Services Administration announces the start of the presidential transition. President Trump saying that he has told his team to, quote, do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols, but says his case continues. Meanwhile, the Biden administration takes shape. The president-elect revealing nominees for his foreign policy and national security teams and what it signals to our country and the rest of the world. A highly effective third vaccine, this one from Oxford, showing promise. While the first round of Pfizer's vaccine could be ready next month. And inside Operation Warp Speed, the government plans to distribute hundreds of millions of doses to Americans across the country. Despite warnings from the CDC, governors, and local officials, millions of Americans packing airports to travel home for the holiday. TSA reports more than 3 million people passing through checkpoints between Friday and Sunday, as millions also line up for testing. The Mayo Clinic saying at some point demand will quite simply outpace the capacity. And what the West is getting wrong, breaking down the stark differences between the U.S. and Europe in contrast with Asian countries in their handling of the pandemic. Lessons to learn if we ever want a new normal. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with breaking news tonight, 20 days after the election and 16 days after Joe Biden was projected the winner. It appears for the first time President Trump is starting to come to terms with the reality that he will not get a second term. Now, this comes hours after critical swing state Michigan officially certified its election results for Joe Biden. Now, the president and GSA Administrator Emily Murphy are acknowledging a transition can begin to move forward. In a tweet, the president said, in part, in the best interest of our country, I'm recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols and have told my team to do the same. In a letter released from Murphy to President-elect Biden, she says that she came to this conclusion in part because of recent developments involving legal challenges and certifications of election results. Now, this comes after a growing chorus of Republicans today came forward to say that the Biden transition must get underway. Retiring Tennessee Republican Senator Lamar Alexander with this message for the president: when you're in public life, people remember the last thing you do. Our Jonathan Karl leads us off with the breaking developments.
Today, Michigan made it official, certifying Joe Biden as the state's winner, slamming the door shut on President Trump's frantic efforts, including summoning Republican state legislatures to the White House on Friday to reverse an election in a state that Biden won by over 150,000 votes. Georgia had already certified Biden as the winner, and Pennsylvania today moved closer to doing the same, as Pennsylvania's Republican senator accused the president of undermining American values.
The idea that a sitting president would try to, pressure, cajole, persuade state legislators to dismiss the will of their voters and select their own group of electors and send them to the Electoral College, it's completely inconsistent with any kind of truly democratic societies.
But the president is still begging his supporters for money. More than 350 emails sent since the election saying, quote, I concede nothing. Pathway to victory is clear. We're making huge progress. But read the fine print. Most of the money isn't going to his legal fund. It's going to his political organization. In the courts, everything is going bust. The Trump team and its allies have suffered some 30 losses. The president's lawyers are also under fire for that embarrassing press conference last week, where attorney Sidney Powell floated a bizarre conspiracy theory she said was hatched by Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez, who has been dead for 7 years.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela.
It was all too much even for Rudy Giuliani, who put out a statement saying, quote, she is not a member of the Trump legal team. But that's her right next to him at the press conference.
I'm in charge of this investigation with Sidney and the people that you see here.
Trump ally Chris Christie said it's time for the president to pack it in.
The conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment.
A growing chorus of Republican senators is now urging the president to start the transition to a Biden administration.
I frankly do think it's time to, it's past time to start a transition, to at least cooperate with the transition.
As for the president, he's played golf 6 times since the election, but for the most part, he has stayed out of sight. He did attend a virtual G20 summit over the weekend, but left early before a session on COVID-19, opting instead for another round of golf.
Right, President Trump laying low, relatively speaking, in recent days. Jonathan Karl joins us now from Washington. Big news from the GSA. What more can you tell us, John?
Well, GSA Administrator Emily Murphy has finally written a long-awaited letter to Joe Biden that begins the first steps towards a transition to a Biden administration. This letter, what it does is free up funding for the transition process, also sends a signal to much of the rest of the administration that there is a transition underway. And what is most significant here, Lindsay, is it appears that President Trump signed off on this move. Right after it was announced, right after the letter was released, the president unleashed a series of tweets saying that he is still continuing his legal fight. He says, our case strongly continues. We will keep up the good fight, and I believe we will prevail. But it's what comes after that is more significant. He says, nevertheless, in the best interests of our country, I am recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to the initial protocols. And I have told my team to do the same. Initial protocols seems to be essentially the transition. That's what this letter is about, freeing up the funds for a transition. And when he says, I have told my team to do the same, the implication, it seems to me, and we don't have clarification on this for certain, but it seems to me that what he's suggesting is that he will now begin to allow those intelligence briefings to take place that would normally have started weeks ago, and also coordination with the coronavirus task force, which Biden and so many others have been saying must start immediately.
And, John, it also appears that the Secret Service is moving ahead with plans for protecting a soon-to-be former President Trump.
It sure looks that way. ABC News has learned that the Secret Service leadership has asked agents who is interested, asked for basically an all call, who is interested in transferring down to West Palm Beach to be stationed at Mar-a-Lago, presumably which would be the new permanent home for former President Donald Trump.
Jonathan Karl, thanks so much.
Thank you, Lindsay.
And with the transition now moving forward, President-elect Joe Biden's history-making cabinet is beginning to take shape. Today, Biden named the first key members of his foreign policy team, including Secretary of State, Homeland Security Chief, UN Ambassador, and National Security Advisor. His choices point to a new direction in America's dealings with the world. And if confirmed, for the first time ever, a woman will be Treasury Secretary. Our Martha Raddatz reports.
If confirmed, Janet Yellen, the former chair of the Federal Reserve, would be the first woman ever to serve as Treasury Secretary, a remarkable first, given that she would succeed 75 men who have filled the position, and more important than ever during this critical period in the pandemic economy. The official announcement expected in the coming days, with Biden first concentrating today on his national security team, expecting some pointed fights.
So do you expect the Republicans to put up any significant roadblocks to your nominations?
Are you kidding me?
Why'd you go with national security first?
Because it's national security. Thanks.
His nominees have vast experience. Tony Blinken, nominated for Secretary of State, has been a critic of the Trump administration.
My concern is that we've seen a daily assault on democracy under this administration, which has tarnished our own ability to lead.
Blinken has long been involved in foreign policy, from state to Capitol Hill to the White House. That's him in the Situation Room when Osama bin Laden was killed. Another first with Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, the first woman nominated for that role after serving as deputy at the CIA. At Homeland Security, the first ever Latino nominated as secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, making clear today his would be a very different DHS than during the Trump administration, tweeting that as an immigrant, he will now protect those who flee persecution in search of a better life for themselves and their loved ones. At the UN, retired career Foreign Service diplomat Linda Thomas Greenfield, raised in the segregated South, would hold a position of UN ambassador.
Leading with kindness and compassion, Martha joins us now from Washington. Martha, Biden making it very clear that he wants a diverse leadership team.
Absolutely, Lindsay. He has made it very clear from the beginning that this is one of his top priorities, to have a diverse cabinet, a diverse team. He says what he really wants to do is have the best team that represents all of America, Lindsay.
And Martha, Biden also signaling a very different approach to national security and foreign policy than the Trump administration with its America First policy, even bringing back former Secretary of State John Kerry.
Yeah, John Kerry, who will be basically a presidential envoy on climate. If you will remember, John Kerry was part of the Paris Climate Accords, which Donald Trump immediately got out of when he became president. I think you'll see with Joe Biden and John Kerry, they will immediately get back into it. I think this is very much back to the future. Most of these people were in the Obama administration, so their approach will be very similar. Of course, the world has changed, and they kind of have to catch up with it, but you'll see a big change going forward, Lindsay.
As you say, back to the future. All right, Martha Raddatz, thanks so much. And as we enter this week and season of giving thanks, for many, it's also a time of sacrifice in the name of safety, gathering around smaller dinner tables with fewer attendees in the hopes that this time next year we'll be back with our loved ones. But there are also growing concerns about just how this holiday could set back our fight against coronavirus. Some good news, though, because we all need it. It is possible that in less than 3 weeks' time, if all goes according to plan and the Pfizer treatment gets FDA authorization, then one of the first vaccine candidates could begin distribution. But who gets it first and how? Now, with coordination hopefully soon to take place between the Trump and Biden teams, there's now a third vaccine that's showing some promise. Oxford is calling its treatment highly effective. Tom Llamas now with the sliver of hope we all need.
Tonight, what could be widespread progress in the fight against the coronavirus. AstraZeneca and Oxford say early results show its vaccine could be up to 90% effective without any serious safety issues.
That's good news. What that tells us now, that this is the third vaccine that we have that have given a very high degree of efficacy.
Scientists testing different dosing found the vaccine was 90% effective when volunteers got a half a dose followed by a full dose a month later. A conclusion researchers discovered after they gave some volunteers only half a dose, later learning the vaccine was more effective that way.
If you can start with half the dose, we will have more vaccine available and we can start vaccinating a larger group of people around the world.
AstraZeneca's vaccine is more affordable to produce and doesn't need to be stored in extreme cold like Pfizer's.
You can store it in the fridge just like you store the rest of your groceries.
This all comes after Pfizer and Moderna reported their vaccines were found to be up to 95% effective. Pfizer could get emergency use authorization from the FDA immediately following a public hearing on December 10th. Our Bob Woodruff today with the general in charge of distribution for Operation Warp Speed, asking him how long before the first Americans get the vaccine after the green light from the FDA.
24 hours later, vaccines are on the street, right?
24 hours is all it's going to take.
Yep.
In the beginning, there won't be a choice of which vaccine. Whichever is approved first goes out first.
If Pfizer's first, I'll call Pfizer, and they'll begin distributing vaccines. It will go to 64 jurisdictions simultaneously, 50 states, 8 territories, and 6 metropolitan cities.
Sounds like plans for a rapid rollout. Tom Llamas joins us now. Tom, what more can you tell us about the timeline for these 3 vaccines?
Well, Lindsay, we have some new reporting on this. The Secretary of Health and Human Services tells our Bob Woodruff that the first 40 million doses will be coming from Pfizer and Moderna, but he calls this news from AstraZeneca and Oxford very promising, and he points out that it's being made here in the U.S. as well, so once it's approved, it will be ready. Lindsay?
Tom Llamas, thanks so much, and we'll have more of Bob Woodruff's on-the-ground reporting at the headquarters of Operation Warp Speed in tomorrow's Vaccine Watch. And while there's new hope for a vaccine, more than 12 million Americans have already contracted the virus, pushing hospitals across the country to the brink. Still, millions of Americans are traveling for Thanksgiving to gather with family and friends as public health officials sound the alarm. ABC's Victor Oquendo reports in from Miami tonight.
Tonight, with millions of Americans flying home for Thanksgiving, officials across the country are sounding the alarm. North Carolina's governor.
Our actions now will determine the fate of many.
New York's governor.
These are dangerous times that we're in.
And the Surgeon General.
So I'm asking Americans, I'm begging you, hold on just a little bit longer. Keep Thanksgiving and the celebration small and smart this year.
Despite those urgent pleas, Sunday saw the most travelers pass through TSA checkpoints since the pandemic began. More than 3 million this weekend. With the increased demand for testing, like here at this site on Miami Beach, one of the largest labs in the country is now warning people to expect longer turnaround times, asking only those who have been exposed or showing symptoms to get tested. The nation facing 167,000 new cases on average every day. The Aragones family from Arlington, Texas, knows how quickly the virus can spread, begging Americans to keep their holiday gatherings small in this PSA.
I had family over at my house for some cake for my wife's birthday. I didn't think anything bad would happen.
But it did.
Now I'm fighting coronavirus.
We have COVID-19.
And love seeing my family. But now I'm fighting against COVID-19.
12 members of their family that attended the party came down with the virus and may have spread it to 3 others who weren't even there.
You are not immune, your family's not immune, but staying at home, you can prevent the spread of COVID-19.
New York City now preparing for the worst, planning to reopen a field hospital in Staten Island, harkening back to the darkest days of the pandemic. As hospitals and healthcare workers are pushed to the brink, Sunday marking the 13th straight day the U.S. has broken the record for coronavirus-related hospitalizations.
There's a lot of us healthcare workers that will never forget the things that we've had to see and do.
And it's not just the hospitals feeling the brunt, it's American families in need this holiday season. Today, the Miami Marlins and Feeding South Florida teaming up to distribute Thanksgiving meals to 1,000 grateful families.
We lost family, friends. In North Carolina, over here, we lost our jobs. You know, it's been really tough.
I'm so sorry. And now knowing that you have everything you need for Thanksgiving, what does that do for you and your family?
It's just a blessing. Trust me, it's just a blessing.
A season of gratitude still in the midst of it all. And Victor Oquendo joins us from now outside the Miami airport. And Victor, officials are now warning that even a negative test result should not be a green light to travel.
Right. People want that clean bill of health ahead of the holiday. But officials are warning that a negative test could create this false sense of security. Also, all of this testing is creating a strain on labs across the country. Just today, the president of the Mayo Clinic telling ABC News that the demand for testing will quite simply outpace the capacity. Lindsay?
Victor Oquendo from a very busy Miami airport. Thanks so much, Victor. Joining us now is Dr. Todd Ellerin, and we've talked a lot about the vaccine, but there are medicines that may help keep the severely sick alive right now. Talk to us about the new options. I understand that the same antibody treatment that the president used will start getting shipped out to states tomorrow.
That's right. Lindsay, this is good news. Remember, the medications we've had recently, the remdesivir, which is an antiviral, drives that virus down. The dexamethasone, which has been shown to save lives in those patients who are having that immune storm. But with Regeneron, what we have are an outpatient option. These are not to be used for patients who are in the hospital. You're trying to get early on so those antibodies can bind to the virus and make sure that it doesn't hijack the cells. That's the key. So it's been approved for patients that are high risk, not hospitalized, and it's been shown to be used early on. You can't wait too long. We're trying to figure out how we're going to operationalize that at the same time while we're really focused on vaccines.
And the CDC is advising against holiday gatherings outside of your own household. Now, if Americans feel that they have to travel for Thanksgiving, what precautions must be taken? And at this point, if you have not been quarantining, is it too late to safely have an indoor meal on Thanksgiving, even with a negative COVID test?
So it's an important point. I want to emphasize the fact that a negative test is not a license for us to take off our mask and get close to our family, friends, loved ones, anyone we're celebrating holidays with. Why is that? Because a study that came out from the Annals of Internal Medicine showed that the day that you are infected with COVID-19, the likelihood that you have a positive test is close to zero. There was a 100% false negative result. Even 5 days later, on day 5, when you had the onset of symptoms, there was still over a 30% false negative. When I say false negative, that means you are infected with COVID-19, but you test negative. So a single test is not good enough for us to be able to say, let's take off the mask and get close to people. We still have to practice physical distancing. And during Thanksgiving, I think what's really important, if you decide to have families mixed together, which I do not recommend. But if you're going to do that, as I understand many people are planning on, then it's important to make sure those tables are apart, to make sure you're masking at all times unless you're eating or drinking, to try to open those windows to optimize ventilation. These are the things that will hopefully keep us negative and uninfected. But remember, the best thing to do is to keep that Thanksgiving within our own households.
Really good insight there, Dr. Ellerin. Thanks so much for your time. Lindsay. And when we come back, the dog owner who said, "Not today, Gator." Plus, the Black Friday deals 5 days early. Why this holiday season you may not have to wait for the best deals. But up next, when cases rise by the dozens, officials aggressively contact trace and test in an attempt to contain the virus. Why Asia has managed to do a better job of handling the virus compared to the U.S. and Europe when we return.
Admit it, these days, what you need to know seems to change, well, like every day. So what is it that you really need to know, want to know, to help you not just get through your day, but make the most of it? Feel smarter, feel better, feel happier. Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon? GMA 3, what you need to know. It's all about you. Lunchtime at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC. This is going to be so good.
The reality is our country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen and neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary event special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown Hate, The War Among Us.
This is a real wake-up call.
Streaming now on ABC News Live.
What you're seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall. This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
Your mom said, comb your hair. Your dad told you, smarten up. Your dog is judging you right now. And your best friend just called you crazy. We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. Now imagine getting your news like that. No bull, no spin, just give it to me straight. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
Australian airline Qantas has become the first to require COVID vaccinations. And the company says that once vaccines are widely available, it will mandate international travelers prove they've received one before flying. The CEO calls it a, quote, necessity and describes it as a vaccination passport. He expects other airlines will eventually do the same. The United States is now hovering between 1 to 200,000 new cases a day. Places like Vietnam, for example, are still in the single digits. While the world battles COVID, some places are doing a better job than others, certainly better than the United States, as our Britt Clennett reports.
In the fight against COVID-19, East Asia is ahead of the curve, and it's easy to see why. Coming back to Hong Kong, containment starts before we even land.
Mid-flight from Istanbul to Hong Kong, and as you can see, I've got plenty of room. The flight is practically empty.
Home to nearly 2 billion people, the region is responsible for less than 1/5 of global COVID infections. The way they're doing it is no secret. From the onset, the region's been fiercely testing, tracing and limiting people's travels. For much of the year, Hong Kong and a host of other East Asian countries have closed its borders to foreigners. But for those who do make it onto a plane, contact tracing starts right out of the gate.
I'm straight off the plane and there are several steps I have to take straight away, including downloading this Stay Safe Home app, which will be the tracking device during quarantine.
Before we're allowed to leave, we get a COVID test at the airport. After that, it's straight to a hotel for the night while we await results.
They've given us a TV, closet, fridge, and check out that view.
We get the clear 24 hours later, but a strict 2-week quarantine is still mandatory, and the government makes sure we play by the rules.
I'm about to activate my government Stay Home Safe app, which is connected to the wristband I got at the airport yesterday.
China, South Korea and Singapore have made robust contact tracing a part of their everyday lives.
Contact tracing infrastructure is absolutely key.
In mainland China, where test and tracing is especially aggressive. Just last night in Shanghai, a sudden decision to test all airport employees within hours just because they discovered 2 local cases. By morning, they had reportedly tested over 17,000 workers. Chinese authorities have quickly suppressed multiple outbreaks since Wuhan, allowing many parts of the country to return to a semblance of normality. Even in South Korea, contact tracers have been using people's cell phone data to see if they're potentially exposed to confirmed cases, as ABC's Joo Hee-cho showed here early on in the pandemic. These aggressive systems are not nearly in place in the US by comparison, where cases are out of control.
When you have positivity rates in the US that are approaching 50%, there is not any technology that will help bring the population transmission down.
East Asia learned lessons from the SARS outbreak nearly 20 years ago, and it's taken the global lead in taming the virus.
Sociological imprinting of the experiences of these epidemics have made us much more sensitive, receptive, and now much more adherent to very, very serious interventions to control COVID-19.
There's also a willingness by people to adhere to mask mandates.
Masks are such a normal part of life here in Hong Kong that I'm in one of the busiest shopping districts, and here you can see from the street a mask production line. Now, it's leading to a store where months into the pandemic, masks are flying off the shelves.
This store in Hong Kong has made masks a must-have accessory. Face coverings here aren't a one-size-fits-all. They come in different colours.
It's quite fun, actually.
Shapes and sizes.
It's Korean style, so these are more popular now? Because it doesn't mess up your makeup underneath.
On the other side of the glass, we were given access to see how these masks are made.
How do I look?
The options for customisation here are limitless.
There's just a general willingness on the part of the population to sort of get together to combat a virus. So you don't have some of the same problems like social distancing and mask wearing, which we know are huge points of debate in the US.
Something that isn't a problem in much of Asia.
It will not actually be sufficient alone to stop outbreaks, but it does bring it down by 10-20%. And if you then apply other measures which make up the other 80%, then you basically have it under control.
Leaving home with face coverings are an afterthought here, and a general acceptance that the government will tighten and loosen measures in line with infection rates has allowed most of the region to avoid the costly lockdown elsewhere.
We're finally learning the lessons that we had been accruing over the last 20 or so years.
And while Asia has proved its success in being able to get a handle on this virus, it's still bracing for a new round of infections. In recent days, Japan and South Korea have already started to see a spike in cases. Hong Kong itself, with 73 daily cases, hitting a 3-month high, appears to be heading into its 4th wave of infections. As long as the world remains gripped by it, this region is still at risk, and they're hoping their playbook will still be effective. Britt Clennett in Hong Kong for ABC News Live.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Britt, and still ahead here on Prime. The unusual delegation of the Vatican, why the Pope invited the NBA, the major recall, more than 6 million GM pickups and SUVs, what the company is saying tonight. But up next, 3 vaccine trials. 3 companies say they have a highly effective product. Where do things stand by the numbers? But first, our tweet of the day. We reported it earlier, but the president finally signals his willingness to let the transition with President-elect Biden begin.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source, ABC News. Wow. Breaking news, live events as they happen, streaming live, non-stop, straight to you. Original, on the edge, breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want, free. And imagine the most celebrated, epic live events and moments, all playing out right before your eyes.
See those flames behind me?
And go deeper inside the groundbreaking exclusives from the campaign trail only ABC News gets. Watch ABC News Live right now and anytime. Streaming on Roku, Hulu, Facebook, and abcnews.com.
ABC News Live, streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis. 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
For ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home.
David,
nice to meet you. This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, mornings may look different these days, but where you start your day,
where you spend your mornings, where you get connected to everything that's happening.
And face it, there's a whole lot happening in our world these days.
Where you get all the breaking new information of the day to help you navigate through these times.
That's why we're here.
Good morning, sunshine.
And making sure you start your day off with a smile and some sunshine.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Oh, how I love saying that.
Wake me up.
The world may feel out of your control, but your happiness doesn't have to be. Learn the secrets to happiness. Listen to the 10% Happier podcast, free on Apple Podcasts.
ABC News honored winner for the 2nd straight year with the Edward R. Murrow Award for Overall Excellence in Television. ABC News, America's #1 news source.
This is GMA3, what you need to know. GMA3.
A third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon.
It's all about you. Lunchtime on ABC.
Welcome back, everybody. And now back to the promising vaccine news that's giving us hope as COVID cases continue to surge. AstraZeneca is now the 3rd drug maker to claim its vaccine is highly effective at fighting the virus. Here's a look at the vaccine race by the numbers. Up to 90%. That's how effective AstraZeneca and Oxford University say their vaccine is, based on an interim analysis of phase 3 trials involving more than 24,000 volunteers in the UK and Brazil. None of the vaccinated trial participants needed hospitalization for COVID-19. Now, they expect to produce and distribute 3 billion doses in 2021 on a rolling basis, pending regulatory approval. And because AstraZeneca's vaccine can last at least 6 months in a normal refrigerator, distribution could be easier than other vaccines and also cost less than $4 a dose. Meanwhile, Pfizer and BioNTech say that their vaccine is up to 95% effective, and with FDA approval, rollout could begin as soon as December 11th. Pfizer expects to produce up to 50 million doses in 2020 and up to 1.3 billion doses globally by the end of 2021. That vaccine, however, requires ultra-cold storage after several days. And finally, drug maker Moderna says its vaccine is 94.5% effective based on a preliminary analysis. And they could have 20 million doses by the end of the year. We still have lots to get to here on Prime. The disturbing clue as the search continues for a fishing boat that vanished off the Massachusetts coast. How some are turning to crowdfunding sites for help with congressional efforts to bring aid to millions now stalled. And our conversation with director Steve McQueen. He's working on a new series about policing in 70s London and the comparison to the challenges being faced in American cities today. But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
The reality is our country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen and neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary event special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown Hate, The War Among Us.
This is a real wake-up call.
Streaming now on ABC News Live.
Now, when it matters most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. #1 in the morning, #1 in the evening, with America's most watched newscast. #1 in late night versus the competition. #1 in politics, and most watched on this historic election night versus the competition. The #1 daytime talk show, and #1 in streaming news. Most trusted, most watched. ABC News is America's #1 news.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, mornings may look different these days, but where you start your day,
where you spend your mornings, where you get connected to everything that's happening.
And face it, there's a whole lot happening in our world these days.
Where you get all the breaking new information of the day to help you navigate through these times.
That's why we're here.
Good morning, sunshine.
And making sure you start your day off with a smile and some sunshine.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Oh, how I love saying that.
Wake me up.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime. 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
As Americans get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, the U.S. is battling dire COVID-19 numbers, averaging 157,000 new cases each day, according to the COVID Tracking Project. That's more than 4 times the daily average from just 2 months ago.
We're pleading with people, please God, do the right thing. We expect this to get worse before it gets better.
In a sign of hope, AstraZeneca is now the 3rd drug maker to announce its vaccine is up to 90% effective if given in 2 doses, a smaller one than a normal one at least a month later. To help stop the spread, some cities and states are tightening restrictions. Washington, D.C. limiting indoor gatherings to 10 people.
I'm asking Americans, I'm begging you, hold on just a little bit longer. Keep Thanksgiving and the celebration
situation small.
Despite the CDC urging people to stay home and avoid travel for Thanksgiving, many airports across the country have been packed.
We did a COVID test, we turned out negative. We are bringing hand sanitizers, we have wipes, we always disinfect everything.
The demand for COVID-19 testing skyrocketing ahead of the holiday. Quest Diagnostics saying its labs are having trouble keeping up, saying people should expect to wait longer than usual for results.
Right here, Richard Wilbanks saves his dog from the jaws of an alligator.
He just came out from under the water like a missile coming out and grabbed Gunner and went right back in the water with it. You know, it all happened so fast. It was just reaction and, adrenaline.
The shocking ordeal playing out near the Wilbanks home while Richard's wife Louise was inside. Watch again as Richard wrestles Gunner out of the alligator's mouth while never losing the cigar from his. The King Charles Cavalier Spaniel scampering off with just a single puncture wound. The incident captured on cameras set up by the Florida Wildlife Federation in partnership with the F-Stop Foundation. Little Gunner spent 2 nights at the vet and now his owners say has a new leash on life.
He's now on a leash all the time.
Pope Francis and 5 players from the NBA sat down at the Vatican for an unprecedented meeting to discuss social justice. During the private meeting, the players gave the pontiff a book containing images, quotes, and headlines about NBA members using their platform for pandemic relief, racial injustice, and voter education. The NBA delegation included players like Kyle Korver, Sterling Brown, Jonathan Isaac, Anthony Tolliver, and Marco Bellinelli. The players will return to the U.S. tomorrow.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu flying to Saudi Arabia for a secret meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. According to Israeli news media, that would be the first known encounter between senior Israeli and Saudi officials. This comes as the Trump administration has worked to normalize relations between Israel and the Arab world.
At a cost of over $1 billion, the U.S. is making General Motors recall and repair nearly 6 million big pickups and SUVs that are still equipped with potentially dangerous Takata airbag inflators.
It's not that often that British musician Paul Barton is mobbed by unruly audiences that tug his hair, steal his music, and climb over his piano. Barton is a rock star to hundreds of hungry wild monkeys in central Thailand that he hopes his music can calm. Tourism is down, so there are fewer visitors to feed them. Barton's leading efforts to raise money for food. Barton says, just like some people, monkeys will be less aggressive if they're not hungry.
Welcome back. The search continues for the crew of a fishing boat that sank off of Massachusetts. The 82-foot Emmy Rose went down about 20 miles from the coast with 4 members on board. The boat did send an automated emergency alert, but no mayday. So far, the Coast Guard has only found debris and an empty life raft. Well, just like the entire year, this holiday shopping season will be very different than what we're used to. But as Becky Worley explains, for some of the best deals, you don't have to wait till Friday.
This year's hottest gift for teens is sold out at all the major outlets. PS5 gaming console unavailable online as desperate parents wait for new batches of products to become available.
I would just encourage consumers to check across multiple retailers' websites and check through the week.
And in a time when shoppers are usually researching and planning how they'll find deals on Black Friday, many of the best discounts already available. Best Buy offering this laptop now for $110 off. That's a 52% discount. Kohl's with this Ninja Blender, $80 off, a 57% discount. And this air fryer, just $19 at Macy's. That's 61% off. While Walmart has advertised new deals and a new shipment of PS5s dropping November 25th at 9 p.m., experts say stores want us to shop now.
Given the peak demand that they're expecting, the earlier they can push the orders, the easier it is for them to fulfill those orders in time.
Social distancing and store occupancy limits mean shoppers are much more likely to go online to buy, with 85% of retailers planning to heavily promote online options as part of COVID-safe shopping.
In many cases, retailers have been doing deals all the way through November, with new deals coming out for this Black Friday week.
Our thanks to Becky for those tips. And next to a new way to help those in need, especially during this season of giving and with no government stimulus in sight, there are reportedly more people turning to sites like GoFundMe for help. Rebecca Jarvis has the details.
This holiday season, many Americans are depending on the kindness of strangers to make ends meet, whether accepting food donations or, as some are trying, by crowdfunding to pay their bills.
I think this trend that we're seeing with so much giving, despite the fact that this is one of the hardest economies in our history, is a real silver lining to this pandemic.
Estrelita Edwell was working for arts nonprofit in Washington, D.C. before being laid off in June.
It was definitely a whirlwind of emotions. It felt like not only was there a pandemic happening, but also like, what was I going to do?
Creating a GoFundMe page to pay back debt accumulated during the pandemic, raising nearly $6,000 of a $9,000 goal in a little more than a month.
This is what community does for each other. So it's been very uplifting for my heart and my spirit for those that have shown up.
Jim Mimna's concert photography business also struggled to stay afloat during the pandemic. The single father of two selling some of his photography equipment and cutting back on expenses.
It's a new fear I've not known before.
When an eviction notice landed on his doorstep, Jim's friend Joe started a GoFundMe on his behalf, the total reaching more than the goal.
Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, you have kept me in my house. You have kept a roof over my kids' heads. You've helped us eat.
Experts say one of the big benefits of crowdfunding is convenience. They also say if you need to ask for help, remember these 3 tips. Be honest.
What compels people to give is an honest story, a story where they might see a connection.
Be specific.
There's no such thing as oversharing. You really want to understand how your money is going to create impact.
And follow up.
In many cases, these donors, they're not expecting anything in return, but they would love to know how you're doing.
Our thanks to Rebecca Jarvis for that. You might best know filmmaker Steve McQueen for his Oscar-winning epic 12 Years a Slave. And he's getting a lot of attention right now for his new anthology, Small Acts, 5 dramatic films, each a tribute to the Black British experience. The first film, Mangrove, is out right now on Amazon Prime. Take a listen.
Frank is a charming and gentle person who doesn't realize what he has done for our community in simply providing us the space. The Mangrove is now a focal point for Black people to come and sit, talk, and exchange views. That is a rare and precious gift.
Damn right. And that Betty made the best roti.
But seriously talking, we need to defend ourselves against Powell and his rivers of blood nonsense before that stream winds its way to our door.
Steve McQueen joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So quite often in America, we talk about the Black experience, but you very particularly talk in this scenario about the Black British experience. How do the two differ?
Not much, I'm afraid. The fact of the matter is that we're related, and we're dealing with so many issues which are very, very similar. It's just a situation where I wanted to sort of look into my own experiences growing up in Britain in the 80s. It's taken me 11 years to get to this point, but it's just one of those things which I needed to sort of get to express a narrative that unfortunately hasn't been given enough space.
And talk to me about the importance of these films being released now. You yourself have said that you didn't know about some of these stories until 15 years ago. I know production began pre-pandemic and pre-modern civil rights movement, but the topics certainly feel very relevant. Why is it important that these stories are told, and why now?
Well, you know, it's an ongoing situation, as we all know. These are stories which have been, in a way, swept beneath the carpet. I mean, what you know, I imagine, of the UK as far as a certain kind of history is, you know, the royal family and Sherlock Holmes and whatnot. But what has actually been going on within sort of recent British history is how people from the West Indian community have been treated and held back. You know, we Black people in the UK have been immensely influential politically, socially, and culturally in a way that can never be reversed, can never be turned back. And all I wanted to do was sort of bring those stories to light, to the public.
Now, when the first two films debuted at Cannes, you dedicated them to George Floyd and other Black people who have been murdered, seen and unseen. How has this year's racial reckoning since George Floyd's death affected you? And do you see Small Axe in a different light?
Well, to be honest with you, when George Floyd, the situation with George Floyd actually happened when he was killed, I kind of blocked it out, as I imagine a lot of Black people did, because in some ways, to put one foot in front of the other, if you sort of put yourself into that situation every time a Black person's killed, you know, you go crazy. So I imagine what I did, and unconsciously, I kind of put it away, put it aside, in order to sort of carry on, to put one foot, as I said, in front of the other. But as obviously events unraveled, you sort of bring it up to the surface, and you look at it, you look at yourself, and you think to yourself, I think what you do in a way is that you sort of, it's a mirror, isn't it? You're looking at yourself and what can happen to you, what can happen to my son, what can happen to other people's sons or daughters. And I was very surprised at that, because in a way, it's a coping mechanism. And this event has, these recent events has made me think very much of how I cope, how I try to continue on as a human being. And that's the thing that has sort of been brought to the surface to me. And I think how I cope with it was to make work, was to make films, was to make evidence. That's how I think I was coping with it in a way as an artist.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating that we are seeing then the manifestation of your coping mechanism. So the majority of these films deal with very heavy topics centering around police brutality, with moments of brevity like the moment in Mangrove when they break out into song. But then there are movies like Lover's Rock, which incorporate so much vibrancy and fun. How important was it to make sure that one of these films centered around music, love, and joy?
Well, just referring to the last question and to this one, you know, art is a filter. And again, I'm very lucky enough to sort of, because of people who have died and fought for me to be here speaking to you, that I'm allowed to do that. So that, in a way, it was a way of expressing myself through that, coping through work, doing things through work. And joy and celebration is what we do in abundance, see, in the West Indies, and of course in America too, with Black people. That's what we do. That's what we have to do. That's what we do in a way to sort of, you know, because we love ourselves, and we do it in the most flamboyant way, because that's what we do. And again, that is a celebration is defiance. Celebration is part of our resistance, just as it is to march, just as it is to do other things that we have to do. But celebration, to talk, to laugh, to sing, to dance is part of that resistance, part of us, you know, staying healthy.
You've said in previous interviews that these are British stories. They're not foreign or simply West Indian, but are part of British history and culture. Can you expand on that?
Well, they are part of British culture because they're part of our narrative. You know, they're part of, like I said, you could sort of stitch us in with with any current event in history. We've been there. You know, we've fought wars. We've done so many things for this country, but certain stories have been swept underneath the carpet, which needed to come to light. And I think what it was, in a way, was that we weren't welcome within that narrative of filmmaking. We weren't welcome within the sort of the canon of British film, and therefore there was lack of opportunities here. And as you know, a lot of actors had gone to the United States to pursue their careers because they just weren't getting the opportunities here. So these are British films, and it's celebrating British history. And again, it's about justice, and that's what we do. We celebrate an idea of justice and right beating wrong.
And these films are feature-length movies that could be released in theaters but are being released on a streaming platform. With theaters closing around the world, is going to movies, do you think that that's a thing of the past, or are you optimistic about their future?
I'm very optimistic. Look, these films, these feature films in the way were made for television. But I just don't think we're ever going to get away from cinema because, you know, could you imagine going on a roller coaster ride on your own? Me neither. So the whole idea of going to the movies, we love collective viewing. We love it. You know, that laughter, the oohs and the ahs. This is what makes cinema and going to the movies so exciting, that we are having a communal experience similar to being around a campfire and telling each other stories.
Sir McQueen, thank you so much for your work, and thank you for joining us tonight.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up, paying tribute to the man who created the Ice Bucket Challenge as a way to fight something far bigger.
Now, when it matters most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. #1 in the morning, #1 in the evening, with America's most watched newscast. #1 in late night versus the competition. #1 in politics, and most watched on this historic election night versus the competition. The #1 daytime talk show, and #1 in streaming news. Most trusted, most watched. ABC News is America's #1 news.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir.
We have made it through another week together.
America's most watched program across all of television.
Admit it, these days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Lunchtime at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC. It's all about you.
What you're seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall.
This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
Breaking news, context, analysis.
With today's extraordinary news cycle,
Now is the perfect time for ABC News Live.
A streaming news game changer. The time is now for ABC News Live. Get it, streaming everywhere.
The world may feel out of your control, but your happiness doesn't have to be. Learn the secrets to happiness. Listen to the 10% Happier podcast, free on Apple Podcasts.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
The winner of this vote was decided by a fair and open election conducted on the White House website. This was a fair election. Unfortunately, Carrots refused to concede and demanded a recount, and we're still fighting with Carrots. And I will tell you, we've come to a conclusion. Carrots, I'm sorry to tell you, the result did not change.
A turkey and a recount. President Trump likely will not be using similar material again tomorrow at the annual White House turkey pardon. We will have it right here on ABC News Live. And switching gears now, after a 7-year battle with Lou Gehrig's disease, Pat Quinn passed away this weekend. Now, that name may or may not ring a bell, but his creation of a social media phenomenon will be hard to forget. Will Gans has more on Quinn's legacy.
In the summer of 2014, no one could escape the Ice Bucket Challenge. Not Oprah, The Rock, Bill Gates, LeBron James, everyone taking part in one of the most successful social media campaigns ever, founded in part by Pat Quinn.
Every challenge, no matter how big or small, was doing what we originally set out to do, which was create awareness. And the money coming in was just completely unexpected.
That money now totaling $250 million worldwide, a legacy worthy of Quinn, who was diagnosed with ALS himself back in 2013, shortly after his 30th birthday.
It's a disease that takes people as quickly as they diagnose them.
He was given this terrible diagnosis, a fatal disease, and he decided that he was going to do everything he could.
17 million people have uploaded videos participating in Quinn's Ice Bucket Challenge.
The Ice Bucket Challenge was the beginning of the end of ALS. We see that there's actually new treatments that are being developed.
Quinn, a huge New York Yankees fan, completing the Ice Bucket Challenge alongside the Red Sox.
He took on ALS like it was a competitive sport. He really was knocked down to the mat several times, and he brought himself back up.
Pat Quinn's advocacy shining a light on an often misunderstood and underrepresented disease.
I think that when we find the cure for ALS, it will be largely because of Pat.
Our thanks to Will for that. And before we go tonight, our image of the day. The owner of a Cleveland restaurant set to close due to rising COVID cases says one of the last customers came in, ordered a $7 beer, but then he left a $3,000 tip for several employees to share. He left these parting words: "See you when you reopen." Nice, heartwarming story. And that is our show for this hour. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us, and good night.